All right, so welcome to today's podcast. I have two guests from Lamor. Can you introduce yourself, guys?
Yes, I'm Ilias Pavlidis. I'm the health and safety manager of Lamor.
All right, welcome.
Yes, and my name is Markus Nystedt, and I'm the technical director of Lamor.
Welcome. So I heard a rumor that you guys travel a lot.
That's true. True. Is the nature of our job. We're providing services around the world. We're selling our equipment around the world, so it's necessary to travel in all the edges of this planet in order to provide services and support our customers.
All right. So how many days do you travel in a year?
I'd say 40 to 50
Yeah.
days a year.
Yeah.
Average.
Yeah.
Something more than 10% of our time.
So what part of the world do you travel? Is it just around the world or all over, or is it some part of the world that you travel more these days? Or
for myself, I would say that the only places that I've never been are Australia and New Zealand. All the others I've been in Asia, America, North and South, Africa, Europe. So in many places around the world.
All right. So how about you?
Yeah, I would agree. It's more or less all over. I mean, that's where we have the clients. Then that's where we go. So it's not some specific area. It's Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Americas.
So there must be a lot of stories behind. If you travel a lot, you're a lot away from home, and then traveling for work. There must be some stories behind there, right?
There are, and it's not only the places that we're visiting, and I'm sure that Markus can say more, but it's also the nature of our job. We are responding in emergencies. Our equipment is spill response equipment. So we are going in some places, not under very normal and usual conditions that we are just trying to fulfill our obligations. There is an emergency in most of the cases. Yeah. There is a spill, a fire, and sunk vessel. So cases like this ones. So
they're really interesting to go there. It's not nice to see an emergency, but then again, it's always it's different kind of emergency, and there's a lot going on, so to speak, right?
Yes.
Well, I would say that there's emergencies, of course, yes, but then there's two other things. That you can go to a meeting that may be in wherever in their office, which is then perhaps more standard, but then you also have the site visits to the client, or where actually they're going to use the equipment, and that's not necessarily an office and not necessarily the most nice areas either. I would say that's where the more interesting elements come up.
The preparation time of a trip like this is a key factor that will make it challenging or not, or boring or more interesting. Because in some cases, as Markus said, if you are going for a planned site visit or meeting the client, yes, you have your time to be prepared and everything to be scheduled. But when you are going suddenly, just after a phone call, this is adding also some difficulty in the trip that you are doing.
You don't really know where you're going. Or you know the country, you know where to head, and then someone's going to pick you up, take you somewhere. You don't really know exactly if their arrangements are done. You know roughly what you're going to do. Yeah. But then you just need to take it from there and try to cope with it.
One good example of what Markus is saying is that, for example, Kazakhstan is such a big country, and it's relatively near to Europe, but the weather between south and north is totally different. I was planning to a trip over there, so I didn't know what clothes I should take, because the temperature in the north it was 2 degrees, in the south it was 25. So really you don't know even what clothes you will take with you. You have to be, let's say, creative and try to cover all the.
So has there been a trip that you packed for winter and then it was summer?
Yes. You have to do that, and it will happen. It will happen for sure.
Yeah.
The worst is the other way around, that you plan that it's warm and it's cold.
Oh yeah. That you need to go and buy a jacket or something. So yeah. So there's like I said, I there must be a stories because you travel a lot. So any close by, has anything happened? Once you're traveling.
Yeah,
anything good and bad.
Yes, for myself, I would say that one of the most challenging places and difficult place I've been, it was in Iraq, in northern Iraq.
Okay.
I was there for almost 3 years, but it was not only the place as place, it was also the period that I've been there. It was from 2013 until 2015 that all this issue with ISIS, it was in its peak.
So you were there?
Yes, I was there. I was living in Erbil, which is actually the capital city of autonomous area of Kurdistan, which is not a separate independent country, but it's an autonomous area within Iraq.
Okay.
And the city that it was the headquarters of ISIS, it was Mosul. It was only 80 kilometers from Erbil. I don't know if 80 kilometers sounds as too much far away or close.
No,
it was close.
It sounds like it was close. So
Close
80
enough.
Kilometers. Wow.
Yes. So
You spent 3 years there.
yes. I was there
So what
for
did
3
you? What were you doing? What did you spend 3 years
I
close to
was there,
ISIS, so to speak?
working in this industry in oil spill response, and we were serving some big oil companies that they were drilling and exploring for or producing oil. So we should have some standby equipment and personnel in case of a spill. Of course, there were a few minor spills that we responded, but also we were getting prepared for an event. So we were doing some drills, exercises, training for our personnel and the personnel of our clients. One of the challenges, for example, was that we wanted to visit a site that normally by car it would be, let's say, 1 hour. But due to the restrictions, because many areas over there were controlled by ISIS, we should make some very big rounds, and we were driving for 5 or 6 hours in order to do a simple trip of 1 hour. That would be so easy.
So did you see any fighting?
Actually, there was a very serious incident. It was in August 2014 that it was the period that ISIS start leaving Syria, expanding to Mosul and going souther near to Baghdad. And we were listening these stories and news and that they were going forward. But suddenly one night, it's probably one of the nights that I will never forget in my life, I was in my office with my operations superintendent. We were together. We worked until late, 8 o'clock, something like that. And when he left the office, after a few minutes, he just texted me and he told me, I think I should return at the office. I just asked why. We were 1 hour ago together. His village, it was between Mosul and Erbil. So his father called him and he told him that ISIS was there. All the people from the village evacuated. They were in the mountains and were actually fighting, exchanging gunshots with ISIS. So he told me that probably you have to evacuate the country. So this is what we did. ISIS arrived until 20 kilometers from Erbil. Finally, they didn't enter the city. But you can imagine that it was a very difficult night, that we should, according to the plans that we had, I should collect all the documents of the company, all the money in cash, stamps, server backups in hard drives. I should have all this with me, some personal stuff. And
how can you carry everything from the office?
I didn't carry everything. As I told you, just the most important documents, some stamps and hard drive of the server and a copy and things like that. But the funny thing was that the first available flight was for next morning. And of course, we didn't choose the destination. We selected the first flight everywhere it goes.
It doesn't really matter. Just let's get out of here.
That was next morning. So what are we doing until next morning? So we gathered together with my superintendent's family in his house, and we were just waiting. And we can hear gunshots, you can imagine. And actually our plan was that if something will happen, we were just taking company's car and we will head to Turkey. Because actually it was the only option we had. we couldn't go to Syria. The war there was in its most difficult times. South, it was not an option because ISIS was going to Baghdad and controlling that area. East, it was Iran, again no option, so our only option was north to Turkey. And I'm very lucky because as Greek I don't require a visa for Turkey, so probably it would be very easy for me even crossing the borders by walking. It was a difficult moment.
So what happened? Did you get into the flight or?
No, finally ISIS didn't arrive in Erbil. They stayed 20 kilometers from Erbil. So this night passed, let's say relatively quietly. And next morning that I arrived in Abu Dhabi, Barack Obama announced the airstrikes against ISIS, and they started the airstrikes. So after the airstrikes, ISIS returned back in Mosul, and after 2014, we all know what happened. They started,
So you flew to, did you say Dubai or?
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi. So did you have a place there, or you just took the first flight? And
No, I took the first flight, and I went there in the hotel. And
that must be, like you said, a night that you don't forget.
Yes, you understand so many thoughts. And simple things. For example, are you calling your family or no? Are you informing them or no about this? They know that you are in an area which
you won't make them worry.
Yes.
Because there's nothing that
what
they
is
can
the
do.
Meaning to call them and say what?
So did you call?
To be honest, yes, I called my wife. It was my fiancée at that time, but I called her. Yes, I shouldn't. But not all the others. For example, my kids, my brother, my mother. I just kept it. I said, if something will happen, it will happen. Nothing will change. There is no reason to.
So you didn't use the Facebook I'm safe at?
No, I didn't.
That's a story. It's just I can imagine. I can only imagine what you felt like being there, hearing the gunfight, and
the funny thing is that after 1.5 months, I returned back and I continued living there for a year.
It's all fine now.
Yeah. When my wife visited the place, for example, one of the attractions that she should see it was the American embassy consulate that it was bombed. You were walking there, and you instead of any other sightseeing, hey, here is the place that they bombed last month.
I'm afraid to ask, do you have any stories? Is that you started with the bomb, so to speak?
No, I wouldn't say not directly with any threat like that. In case it's more like a.
Any funny stories?
Funny story. Well, I had one was we headed up to Thule air base in Greenland, so really northwest, and it was supposed to be a few days training.
Yeah,
it's really it's just a small area for the Air Force. I don't know, 300 people living there. There's actually, for example, there's no roads out. So they don't have any fence or anything because you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had my, or was supposed to have my 40th birthday party. But then I got stuck there. It was just wind. So it was so strong wind, so I got stuck there for 5 extra days. And then
5 days.
Yeah, India before I was home.
Yeah.
And then I already called my wife earlier to say that I will not be able, that we need to cancel. Well, anyway, she said, well, why cancel? All the persons are coming already. So they kept the party, and they sent me pictures of from the party how my 40.
So they had video call or
so they had a good party.
So they had apparently they had a good party even if I was there or no. So
it was not any party. 40 years.
40 years birthday, yeah.
But I guess if you travel a lot, then
it's bound to happen,
to miss something.
Exactly.
So.
And I would say then some other, not perhaps the funny or so, but also a lot of these travels is that what we think is perhaps an adventure or different or something, but you need to also put it in another perspective that for some it's the daily life.
Yeah.
So it's we consider some of these trips and adventures that they're really, really special or something that you remember. But for many of them, I was to the Peruvian jungle. We had quite
Okay.
a lot of work there.
Mm.
2-3 years ago started with pipeline leakages.
Okay.
So at some point I was requested to go there to just have a observe and make a kind of assessment how it's going and if there's something we could improve or do differently.
Mhm.
And it was an exciting trip to be 2 weeks in the jungle living in a tent.
Yeah, must have been,
going
yeah.
with the helicopter because there's actually no roads.
Yeah.
Coming back by boat because the weather is so bad that the helicopter can't take you back, so you spend 14 hours on a boat in a river coming there. But
Yeah.
in the end, this is how our colleagues, workers there in Peru, that's maybe their daily job. For me,
Yeah,
it was not a daily work at all. It
Not
was,
the other
it
day
was
at
quite
the
different.
office, so to speak. But
No, exactly. So it was
Yeah.
exciting for me to be there, but for them it's
Yeah. So guys must have your phones full of pictures. It's like, or do
Yes.
you?
there's
Yes.
a few.
It says if you travel a lot, then you take a lot of photos. You go
There's a
to
few.
amazing places, and then
I don't know if Markus was taking pictures of the mosquitoes to compare where are bigger in Finland or in Peruvian jungle.
so how was the
I would-
jungle? Was it? It was wet. It was hot, right? It was
wet and hot, and you
Yeah.
needed to take care of where you stepped. I remember when I was there, they had one accident. So one it was a little rainy,
Mhm.
and one guy he slid through the bushes, and there was a snake.
Ooh.
And they had at all the sites they have a medic.
Yeah.
But I would say was it a matter about half an hour when he needed to get the antivenom
Yeah.
in order for him to survive.
Yeah.
So it kind of put things in perspective that
Yeah.
you need to be careful a little where you go and where you do. On the other hand, I mean, when we work there, we scare off also the majority of the animals. So
Mhm.
in all honesty, I would say I was a little surprised about I didn't really see any animals or
Yeah.
things like this because we scare them off when we do when there's so many people walking there and we do the cleanup work. So but there's the hidden.
Yeah.
You have the snakes and you have the spiders and you have whatever you'll.
Scorpions. We had many
Scorpions, yeah.
scorpions
Yeah.
in Iraq.
So I guess all
Many scorpions.
the bigger animals, they only attack if they need to defend
Yeah.
themselves or something. Yeah. So
So I don't think it's very common in the end.
yeah.
With the scorpions, it was a let's say a bit different because
Yeah.
in Iraq the scorpions were trying to find a cool place to stay,
Mhm.
so they were hidden in the shadow of some barrels, drums,
Mm.
or equipment. So when you were trying to pick up something, a pump or a hose, you could be bitten by a scorpion that was resting over there trying to.
Yeah, because we don't have those kind of animals in Finland. We're not used to being scared of the scorpions or whatever. Of course, we have snakes and so on, but not the kind of snakes that you find in in the rainforest.
Yeah. Or then the mosquitoes,
Yeah.
whatever you can.
Cockroaches can be an issue in some of our
Cockroaches
trips,
we had-
in some hotels or rooms.
Yeah.
We had a nice room together with Ilias in Kazakhstan a year back.
Yeah.
I would say that maybe I thought that maybe Markus would describe this as a funny trip and story because he had the bad luck to sleep with me in the same room.
Yeah.
I'm snoring
Cockroaches,
like hell.
cockroaches is nothing. His snoring is much worse. That was an interesting sight as well. I mean, it was
Yes,
3 hours
something
drive from the closest city.
Yeah.
Again, there's the workers. They live there, but I would say for our standard, it was perhaps a little different.
I drove from the working site until the nearest city that Markus said, and it was the first time that so many different animals crossed the road that I was driving.
Yeah.
We met camels, dogs,
Horses.
cows,
Sheep.
sheep, cats, dogs, and all of them were crossing the road that I was
Yeah.
driving. So it was an experience that
So you saw a lot of animals. Did you see any people? Was it
Except
we can see people
yeah,
on the
but
place.
between the site and the city, you don't see any people.
No, yes.
Yeah.
It's just nothing. There's 3 hours of nothing except these animals.
Yeah. So I guess you guys have an amazing job. You can travel the world, see the world, experience things that
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, I'm not saying that confronting ISIS is nice, but
you
still.
see that we are here, safe, and we're
Yeah.
making fun of it, we're describing.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, there are difficulties also. It's not only funny moments and things like that. And
Yeah.
in some cases, you are in a hurry, you want to do your job, and there are things that are not allowing you to do this. For example, I'm sure that Markus faced this as well. This issue with visas and stamps, and in some cases can be challenging, and different rules applied even for the same airports in the country. I will never forget that I was flying from Djibouti to Ethiopia. So I landed in Ethiopia and I wanted to enter the country, as I did a few days ago, because I went from Ethiopia to Djibouti. So when I went there to stamp my passport for the visa, they told me, when are you leaving, sir? I said, tomorrow. I will sleep one night. Oh, very good. So you are transit, you will stay, you will sleep at the airport. Excuse me, but my stuff is at the hotel. I have to go there and pay.
Yeah.
No. Show me your ticket. I tried to show the electronic ticket. Nothing. He wanted to. He didn't allow me to get out of the airport. I should stay there. So I was, let's say, hopeless. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
He was insisting that I should stay and sleep there. So I just went to the next employee and I just said, hi, I would like a visa for Ethiopia. Yes, sir. 18 euros. I gave it. They stamped my passport. I never understood what happened. What was
So the other guy didn't really tell you that you were missing a visa.
Exactly. It was just so simple. So things like that,
Yeah.
are
So
funny.
how did you figure out that it was the visa that was the problem?
I don't know. I really sometimes I don't know. I just went to the next employee, the next window, to ask to get a second opinion of what is happening.
Yeah, it's difficult to follow sometimes what they really want and how it can be so amazingly complicated. I had recently. I was on a quick trip to Abu Dhabi, and I needed to be back the following day by a certain time, and the only way back from that one was flying from Abu Dhabi to Kuwait, from Kuwait, Qatar, and Qatar to back to Helsinki.
Yeah.
So I thought it's fine.
Yeah.
However, there was one glitch, and that was that my ticket was from Abu Dhabi to Kuwait was one, and from Kuwait and onward was a different one. So I needed to check out my baggage and take it back in again. Again, what does that mean? Well, I need a visa. Okay, fine. They have this. You can do it on the internet in advance. Okay, I do that.
Yeah.
And then I come there. Then no. With this one, you just have your data pre-filled, but you still need to go to the counter to get the visa. Okay, so I was already slightly getting in a hurry there, and I go to the counter and said yes, but you need to pay in cash. They don't take card. Okay, so how do I get the cash? Well, there's a ATM 50 meters there. Okay, I go to the ATM. Well, I don't remember what the cost was, but there was a minimum like 50 euros that you could actually take out from the ATM.
Yeah.
So I need to take out that cash, go there, pay the visa, so that I could go to the luggage carousel, pick my bag, take it to the check-in, and then go to the next flight.
Yes.
We used to have to do that when we were flying to Miami, actually. So we had to the flight from, let's say, from New York to Miami. So we flew from Helsinki to New York, and then from New York to Miami. So we had to take our luggage and put it on a different kind of place in New York. It was kind of odd because we bought a ticket from Helsinki to Miami, and we had to do the same thing. It was not that hard. We didn't need to get a visa, but it was still...
Well, I would say many things it's not hard, but then it's in the middle of the night, you're tired, you just want to get home, and then it's like, I don't want to do this. So it's the traveling part. I mean, I don't know how many nights I spend in a flight.
Yeah.
So there's also the not nice part of our traveling. Typically, it's quickly in and out, and then you're spending nights in and then your eyes looks
I did it
accordingly the next day.
So any pointers for the guys, for people who travel? Do you carry your own pillow or something because you travel a lot? Is any pointers that we?
I try to travel light though. I typically try to see if I can manage with only a hand carry, even though I was just 2 weeks on travel and I managed with a just hand carry.
2 weeks?
So it's
for me the most important thing that I will have with me definitely is my earphones with noise cancelling.
Oh yeah.
I really need it during the flights to get some peace and be able to sleep.
I don't have that luxury, but I use the basic €1 earplugs. They work as well.
Once I did a trip in Latin America, in Nicaragua, Ecuador, Peru, and I had 17 flights in 14 days.
17 flights.
In 14 days. And different airlines, of course, with different rules, different carrying allowance in the baggages, 20 kilos for one company, 23 for the other.
Yeah.
So there are things that you have to get used and live with it.
Yeah.
Well, already getting to one, going to New Zealand, it was 36 hours to get from Helsinki to the final destination.
Yeah.
Traveling between Arabic countries and Israel, this can be a nightmare as well.
Yeah.
Because if you have stamps in your passport for Arabic
But they don't do
countries,
that anymore. They
Really?
only give you a ticket.
Exactly, yes. This is what I tried to do in my last trip over there.
Yeah.
And I asked, can you give, because in Israel they will give you a different form that they are stamping your entrance and your exit. So
Okay.
I asked very politely the lady that was there in the passport control, would you mind please if you will not stamp my passport, but you will give me this? Yeah, yes, of course, with pleasure. So she started checking my passport. Oh, you have been in Iraq? Yes. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times.
Yeah.
So I've been in a room with an officer for 3 hours. That he did his job and he was asking me what I did in Iraq and all these details and details.
Yeah.
So I finally got in Israel, but it was...
That's why you have 2 passports.
In Greece, we are not allowed to have 2 passports, unfortunately.
Here we
have
are.
One.
Yeah.
Here
That's
we are,
one of
so
the
you can have 2
benefits.
passports. Then you can little see that, okay, perhaps I don't use this one in this case.
Oh, that's you can do that, really?
You can do if the company, I mean, the key thing is that when you apply for visas, it may be, your passport may be stuck with whoever is issuing the visa. like
1
the-
week, 2 weeks, 1 month. You
So
never know.
otherwise you couldn't travel meanwhile. So you're
right,
allowed
yeah.
to have actually 2 passports,
Okay.
so that you can travel while you have the other one in for visa application.
And
That's
Finnish
cool.
passport is one of the, let's say, strongest.
Yeah,
on
I've
the
heard
planet.
that. Yeah, that it's the
No,
Yeah.
the Greek I think is one category down. It's very near, but the Finnish passport is one of the best. You don't require visa in many countries, which makes things.
Yeah, I've been stopped many times and they say, well, you don't have the visa to enter. I said, I don't need. Oh, really? And then they start checking there in the, okay, yeah, fine. So Finnish passport is good.
All right. Well, thank you guys. It was nice to hear some stories from around the world, and let's continue sometime. I guess you have a lot of stories that you can.
Maybe we'll have more.
Yeah?
We will
Yeah,
visit
let's do
new
that.
Places and
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. It was our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.